Maybe it's not a new thing, maybe it's been around for a while, but it seems to me that we've got a world going on in which people are so afraid of legal action of various kinds being taken against them that they have to issue and offer disclaimers for just about everything they deal with. You'll literally hear financial advisors saying this is not financial advice, it's financial advice, right? Now, some of them won't do that. They'll actually do what they need to do. But the point is that I think it's reasonable for me to give you a little bit of financial advice. I'm not saying a huge amount, and I'm not saying you should absolutely stick to it in every situation. But that's what we're going to talk about today on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. By the way, I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Thursday, the 17th of June of 2021. Glad to have you aboard, whether it's on Rumble, on YouTube, on the podcast. Thanks for coming along today. Hopefully you will find what I say to be useful, particularly if you're younger. I believe that this may be something that may be helpful to you. In case I didn't say it, welcome. Oh, I think I did, but thank you for coming along on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. The subject again for today is some financial advice. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And let me read my notes and then I'll actually get into the meat. I want to start this with a standard disclaimer. Anyone who knows me is well aware I'm not a financial advisor of any kind. That said, I want to pass on some simple financial advice. No, I'm not going to clue you on what stock to buy or anything else you should invest in directly. Rather, I'm going to give you an old expression, and it's obvious, by the way, in my opinion, this old expression. What is it? Buy low, sell high. If something you invest in tanks, are you taking that advice if you sell it at the bottom? If it does, or it doesn't take a genius to see, you're not. One thing you should know: each and every financial transaction you involve yourself in inherently involves risk. I don't care what kind it is. Is that milk sour? Is that bread stale? Will your stock tank? Will the car hold its worth? There are risks we take on a daily basis. One more point. Big investments, in my mind, require more consideration. Now, let's kind of get into this. Let's talk about this. My dad had a philosophy on life that said he wasn't going to tell his kids what they should do with their lives. And I get it. I understand what he was doing. Let me just tell you that in my view, my dad was wrong. He should have spent a lot more time teaching me some very basic lessons about life. You didn't need to get into existential philosophy or anything like that. I'm not saying I would have minded necessarily if he did, though we certainly would have probably come to disagreements had he done so. That's okay. It's okay to disagree. I've come to the conclusion that that's fine. But here's the thing. What my dad did not do for me, one thing that in my opinion he did not do for me, was teach me about finances. Look, you buy a car. The second you drive it off the lot, if it was new when you bought it, it begins to depreciate. It begins to lose value. I know of no car that's not true for. That's new. Okay? You talk about antiques and so forth. You can do various things to cause their value to appreciate. Certain cars people will want to buy if you have them. There are always exceptions, or I'm assuming there are exceptions to just about any rule you're going to find in life. But the thing is, you buy something low and sell it high, and if you don't, you know that you're technically losing money in what you've done. That means when you buy that car, you're actually losing money. I don't know a way around that. It means when you buy a stock, if you buy the stock when it's at a highly valued, you're probably going to lose money on it unless that stock is actually able to shoot up more from where it already is. Okay? The point is simple. If you buy something and you buy it at low cost and you keep it with the idea of selling it, should you sell it when it's worth less? you bought it for $1 and you're selling it for 50 cents, that's probably not a good thing unless you've gotten some pretty good use out of it, right? In which case it may be sort of worth it, right? But my point here is simple. My point is, if you buy that shovel and the value of the shovel goes from $5 to $2 to $1, and it never appreciates again up to $5, then you bought a loss. You bought a loss, face it. If you buy a stock, the same thing applies, people. The same thing applies. The difference is that with a shovel, you can usually say that it's going to depreciate. That's not always true, that it's going to lose value. With a stock, you never know. But it's a gamble. The stock market, as somebody recently pointed out, is a gamble. It's a gamble. You're betting that something that you buy is going to go up in value. But here's the thing that I've heard a number of people, not financial advisors either, mind you, people like Tim Pool and others, say over and over again, and they're absolutely correct on this. If you buy stock or Bitcoin or whatever it happens to be, and you buy it at $1, and it depreciates to 50 cents, and you sell it in a mad rush instead of waiting, you don't know what's going to happen to that in future, but you're already taking a bath on it. Unless you're going to assume that its value is going to decrease yet more, as far as it goes, you probably should just hold on to it. And if you can't afford to buy something and hold on to it through the hard times, guess what? You probably shouldn't buy it. It's not reasonable for you to say that people out there who are buying and selling stocks either for you in your behalf or whatever, or just selling them so that you can have them, right? It's not reasonable to say that it's their fault that they sold you a stock. No, they can't tell you that that stock is going to appreciate, that its value is going to increase. They can't do that. And most of them, when you deal with them, if it's a standing agreement, they'll say something in it like, we can't be responsible for your loss. And there's a good reason for that. It's because they're not mind readers. If they were, they'd be sitting on a beach in the Bahamas, right? They'd have made their money and they'd be, ready to say forget you and walk away. Why would they mess with you at all? Particularly if there's a potential legal liability in any circumstance. My point is this. If you take the perspective, buy low, sell high for anything that you think has a chance of increasing in value, you're probably taking the right approach. If you can't take that approach and you're buying something to sell, you probably shouldn't buy that thing to begin with if you can't afford to hold on to it, if you take a bath on it, if it becomes worth less. Okay? This is simple financial advice. Save your money or invest it in something that'll keep value, better yet. But at least try and save money so that when you find yourself out of work, you have money to pay your bills and so forth. Invest in things, some with higher liquidity, so that you can sell them off or whatever when you need to, so that you can pay off those pesky bills that pile up if you end up unemployed. Save your money or invest in things. Invest in things with different levels of liquidity such that you can actually get money back out if you need it, but then again you've got other stuff that's more likely to appreciate in value over the course of time, so that you are looking out after your future. Save for your future in some way. Invest or save, however that ends up working out. These are simple financial things that I will tell you. Don't buy things you don't need. Really think about whether or not you need things that aren't things like food, and even really to some degree with food, when you buy them. Think about it and decide whether or not you really need or want that thing badly enough to find yourself in worse financial position when you do it. These are the pieces of financial advice that I would give to people. I'm not giving you financial advice from the perspective of buy IBM. I'd be an idiot if I did, I think, by this point. I don't know. Maybe IBM is still a good bet. I can't even answer. But I don't know that it is. Okay. I need to go ahead and wrap this up. I think you get the idea. There are some things that you can do financially that just make sense, and you should do them. This has been the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Thursday, the 17th of June of 2021. That means tomorrow will be Friday, the 18th of June of 2021. Thanks for everybody who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube. Remember, Rumble is my preferred platform. I know you're going to watch or listen wherever you do that. If you watch me on Rumble, you can give me a positive Rumble or a negative one. That's usually a plus sign or a minus sign. If you hit the boxing glove in certain instances, it serves as something like the same purpose. In any case, you can also like or dislike, that is thumbs up, thumbs down on YouTube, and you can comment on either one of those platforms. Thanks again for coming along today, and hopefully we will see you again on Friday's edition of the Daily Summation. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video is recorded on Thursday, June 17th of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.